going deep today, tackling all those myths that might be messing with your workouts.
It's kind of crazy how much confusing information is out there.
Totally. But we're going to cut through all that noise with the awesome Daniel
I
Lieberman.
think it's great.
He's a Harvard evolutionary biologist, and he wrote the book Exercised, which is all about the science behind working out, resting, and staying healthy.
His whole thing is looking at exercise through, like, the history of humans.
Right. Like, how did we evolve to move? It's fascinating.
Totally. And he doesn't just tell you how to exercise, but, like, why we have to do it in the first place.
Yeah. And one of the first myths he tackles is that whole sitting is the new smoking thing.
Oh, yeah, we've all heard that one.
Like, it's this terrible thing we do all day.
Right. But Lieberman's take is way more interesting. More like, sitting isn't really the bad guy here.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Animals sit all the time. It's what we do when we're not sitting that really matters.
Okay, so I don't have to become some kind of pacing tiger avoiding chairs at all costs.
Nope. Lieberman actually found that hunter-gatherers, those guys, they actually sit just as much as we do in modern times.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah. The difference is they're also moving around a lot more throughout the day.
Ah, so it's more about breaking up those long stretches of sitting.
That's it. It's about interrupted sitting.
Yeah.
Like hitting the reset button on your body.
I like that.
Every time you stand up, even just for a minute or two, good things start happening in your body. Your blood sugar gets regulated better. Your cells use insulin better. Even your genes start acting differently. So yeah, set a timer, get up, grab some water. Those little breaks make a difference.
I love that. Little changes, big impact. Okay, another myth. Is 8 hours of sleep really the magic number?
Oh, the 8-hour rule?
Yeah, is it really a rule?
Lieberman would say, not so fast.
Really?
He's done research in places without electricity, where people's sleep isn't messed with by lights or staying up late watching TV.
That's interesting.
And guess what? They average about 6 to 7 hours a night.
Wow, and they feel rested.
They do. So it might not be about hitting 8 hours every single night.
So we don't have to stress about it so much.
Right. Everyone's different. Your body, how active you are, even your environment, it all plays a role. 7 hours might be perfect for some people, and sleeping too much might not be as great as we thought.
That's good to know. Okay, what about aging? It's like everyone expects us to slow down as we get older.
Yeah, that whole retirement thing.
Exactly. But Lieberman has a different view, right?
He does. He calls retirement a modern invention. Our ancestors didn't exactly have retirement plans. They had to stay active their whole lives just to survive.
Right. It was out of necessity.
Exactly. And probably for enjoyment, too.
That makes sense. So is this idea that we just decline with age, like it's all downhill after a certain point, is that wrong?
Well, it's not that simple. But Lieberman's research suggests we have more control than we think.
Okay, so it's not all about our genes.
He says our genes might load the gun, but it's our lifestyle and choices that actually pull the trigger.
Wow, I like that analogy.
Right. Like he saw that when older people lose a partner, their health often declines quickly. And while, of course, grief plays a part, he also noticed they often become a lot less active after such a loss.
Oh, that's heartbreaking, but it makes sense.
It shows how important just moving our bodies is for us, physically and mentally. Especially as we age, it's not just about living longer, it's about living well.
Being independent and staying strong.
He always mentions this study on Harvard alumni, and it showed that for those in their 60s and 70s, exercising regularly meant a 50% lower chance of dying.
Wow, 50%. That's huge. This makes me want to get my dad moving more. He's in his 60s.
It's never too late to start.
Right. Even small changes make a difference. It's awesome to know we have more control over our health than we think. But honestly, even knowing exercise is good for me, finding the motivation to do it is, like, the hardest part.
Oh, tell me about it. Actually, Lieberman talks about that in his book.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, even he struggles with it sometimes, choosing the easy way out.
No way, even a Harvard scientist.
Yep, he's human just like us. It's encouraging to know we're not alone in that struggle.
For sure. So how does he do it? Like, what's his secret to actually exercising regularly?
Well, he found that focusing on how rewarding movement can be is key.
Rewarding. But it's hard.
I know, right? But think about it. For our ancestors, being active wasn't a choice. It was life or death. They had to hunt together, build shelters. It was a social thing.
Yeah, they didn't have gyms or workout apps.
Exactly. Lieberman really highlights how powerful community can be. He even tells this funny story about a friend who used a super unique method to stay accountable to her walking goals.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What did she do?
So she signed up for this service where If she didn't hit her daily step goal,
Yeah.
they'd donate to an organization she absolutely hated.
Oh, no. That's hardcore.
Right. Talk about motivation.
Wow. I don't know if I can handle that pressure, but I get the point. Having someone or something keeping you accountable really works.
It does. And Lieberman says our brains, they need time to catch up too. When you first start exercising, it often feels like a chore.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's because your body's not used to it and you're not getting that rush of endorphins yet.
Yeah.
That good feeling people talk about.
The runner's high.
Yeah, exactly. You got to push through that initial phase and then it gets better.
So you're saying exercise itself becomes the reward eventually?
Exactly. Like building any habit, it takes time. But once you start feeling those positive changes, more energy, better mood, good sleep,
Mm-hmm.
it's way easier to stick with it.
I guess I'm always looking for that quick fix, like one perfect workout to solve everything.
Oh, the magic workout myth. Lieberman's big on finding what works for you individually.
So not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Nope. He says just like we eat different foods, our bodies need a variety of movements. Try different things. Cardio, strength training, flexibility.
Mix it up, find what you enjoy. That makes sense. But what about weight loss? I feel like that's a big reason people exercise.
He talks about that, and it's complicated, he says. Part of the confusion is from studies that use pretty low levels of exercise as their baseline, like just 150 minutes of walking per week.
Yeah, that's a good start, but probably not enough to lose a lot of weight.
Exactly. You can't outrun a bad diet. But Lieberman also says higher intensity workouts, especially with dietary changes, can help with weight management.
Didn't he mention a study with Boston police officers?
Yes, it showed that both diet and exercise matter, but the officers who kept exercising consistently were better at keeping the weight off long term.
So exercise helps with losing weight and keeping it off.
Totally. Think of it like this. Losing weight is like pushing a boulder uphill. Tough, but doable. Maintaining weight loss is like keeping that boulder from rolling back down. Exercise gives you the strength for that.
So it's not just about burning calories during the workout.
Right. It's about changing how your body works overall. Your metabolism, muscle mass, even how your body uses sugar. All those things matter.
Wow. So exercise and diet really go hand in hand.
They do. But Lieberman also points out that access to healthy food and opportunities to be active, those things aren't always easy for everyone.
Yeah, that's an important point. It's not always as simple as just making better choices.
Right. So having compassion for ourselves and others is key. Everyone's journey is different.
Absolutely. So with all this in mind, how does Lieberman leave us? What's his final thought?
He leaves us with a question, actually.
Oh, a question.
Yeah, he asks, if exercise is something we were designed to enjoy, how can you rediscover that joy in your own life?
That's a good one. It's like he's challenging us to rethink our whole relationship with exercise.
Totally. Should be a chore, right?
No, not a punishment. It should feel good.
Exactly. He wants us to think about what kind of movement brings us joy.
What feels good for our bodies
And how can we make those things a part of our lives?
in a way that lasts, that we can stick with.
He reminds me of that quote, find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life.
I love that quote.
I think it applies to exercise too. When you find what you love, what feels good.
It doesn't feel like work anymore.
Right. It's like you're tapping into something ancient.
That connection between our bodies and minds.
Yeah, that's always been there.
Yeah.
So find your thing.
Whether it's dancing or hiking or swimming.
Playing a sport, or even just walking in nature.
If it brings you joy, do it. I think what I appreciate most about Lieberman's message is that it's hopeful.
Definitely.
He's not telling us what to do, just encouraging us to figure out what works best for us as individuals.
To listen to our bodies.
Exactly. And to remember, it's not about being perfect.
It's about making progress.
Starting small.
Celebrating the victories.
And finding what brings you joy.
Yes. Find your people, support each other.
Move your body and have fun.
Exactly.
Well, huge thanks to Daniel Lieberman for these awesome insights.
Such a good conversation.
And to you, our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Get out there and move.
Until next time, stay curious.